Well, hey there, friends. Welcome to the Business Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Jess Cassidy, and today I'm so excited. We have a special guest. We have Lauren Glynn, who is the owner of Lauren Glynn Consulting, and she is a systems and operations consultant, and she empowers established small business owners to work fewer hours and make more money without chaos and overwhelm. Drawing from her extensive experience with Fortune 500 companies and federal agencies, Lauren provides tailored coaching and implementation services to help clients build scalable systems, work fewer hours, increase revenue, and achieve better work-life balance. So let's get right into it. Hey, Lauren, welcome to our show. We're so excited to have you here.
Hey, Jess, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we are just going to dive right in, and I am so excited to talk to you today and learn about something that I really think is exciting and passionate, but I know can really bog other people down. And that's, like optimizing your processes for businesses. So can you explain, who you are, how you got started, what your business does, and how this all ties together to help everybody who gets stuck on all this fun stuff?
Yes. So I started my life, my career, I should say, my working life, my adult life, studying lighting design for theater, which is not at all related to what I do anymore. But I realized after graduating college that I didn't like the hours of theater, and I did not like the brown nosing that was required for theater. So I actually got a job as an office manager, worked my way up to working at Apple, worked my way up to working with Whole Foods and with the federal agencies, like you said earlier, and did a lot of working with teams. I started as a business analyst, moved into being sort of a team coach and helping teams figure out their processes, their communication style, their tools that they wanted to use, things like that. And then I ended up actually moving to Italy. And when you move out of the country, you can no longer work for the federal government. So I started building my own business while living in Italy. I was originally coaching leaders because I felt like that was a natural progression from coaching teams to going into coaching leaders. And as I was doing that, I was realizing I don't have a passion for this. I think it's really important that leaders have the support that they need, but generally new leaders don't realize that they need support. So it was really kind of a difficult battle to convince them. I didn't want to be convincing people that they needed my help. And I was talking to my business coach and I was like, this doesn't really seem to be working. It doesn't seem to be jiving. What should I focus on instead? And she was like, well, what do you enjoy doing? And I was like, I enjoy technology. I like problem solving. I like the fact that it's, different. You can figure things out all the time. And I'm already kind of doing it on the side for a couple of different business owner friends. And she was like, well, why don't you just do that? And I was like, oh, well, I guess I could do that.
Oh,
duh. So I have been working my way, designing my programs, trying to figure out what do business owners really need. And I found that a lot of them are very passionate about the work that they're doing, but they don't stop to consider how they're doing the work. They don't stop to consider, what are my processes within my business? How am I automating as much as possible and streamlining so that I can actually scale the business? Because a lot of people they want to make more money. They want to work fewer hours, but they just don't really know what the possibilities are. They don't really know what's out there for them to kind of build the business without adding people necessarily or adding the right people, and they don't know how to find the right people. So I really enjoy helping business owners figure out what they want their life to look like. Do you only want to work 20 hours a week? Do you want to be able to travel the world and still work? Do you want to work with bigger clients instead of a lot of small clients? What do you want that to look like? And then we create a plan to figure that out, to have a business that actually supports that life. And then we kind of work backwards and, set goals and everything to meet all that. But it's all about helping people build a business that works within their life and not making your life about your business.
100%. Yes. And that's, very similar to, a lot of the stuff that I do is, just really trying to help people, figure out that work-life balance. And, like you said, a lot of people, especially in a service-based business, like coaches and like social media managers and stuff, like it's so hard, they love doing the deliverable part, and then the business part, you cannot be an expert at everything. And, people, they want to go from A to Z and not do all the stuff in the middle because it's not fun for everyone. So they have to, have somebody like you to come in and, help, optimize those processes for sure.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about, what do you see as some of the common, signs that small businesses really need to optimize its systems and processes? Like, what does that look like?
So the biggest one would be burnout, or like the verge of burnout. Like if you are a business owner and you just feel like you're putting your all into your business and you're running your social media, you're also doing your own marketing, you're also doing the client deliverables, you're also doing onboarding, you're doing customer service. If you're doing all of the things and you're not enjoying your business and you're not really excited to get up every day and you're like, oh, I got to write another blog post. I got to write another social media post. Like if that's how you're feeling, then that's a really good sign that you are not, you're ready to streamline, you're ready to optimize, you're ready to really take a hard look at your business and see what's really important. What should I be prioritizing versus what's something that's maybe not as important, or something that I could maybe even automate, or something that I could delegate to someone that I can hire. So that, the first signs of burnout or even being burnt out is a really good sign that you need to, optimize your processes in your business.
Yeah. And what I notice a lot of working with people in the online business space is that they are hearing all of this noise from all these people. They have to be on, every single platform. They're hearing, one story from here. They're hearing about, email marketing, LinkedIn, newsletters on LinkedIn. And, they're trying to do everything. And honestly, it makes a lot of people not do anything. So it's like paralysis,
Yeah. Well, and it's also about like, how can I get 80% of the way there? Like ideally you're customizing your content for all of the different, systems all of the different platforms that you're on. But is that really realistic for a solopreneur? Can you just repurpose the content that you're already creating on one platform for another platform? So if it's not your primary platform, at least you have something on there if someone finds you, but you're not really using it to like go out and find people. Yeah. So how can we automate repurposing the content that you're already creating so that you're not sitting there rewriting the same thing over and over again, or writing something new for LinkedIn, even though you already wrote something on Instagram? How can we automate a lot of that?
Yeah. And I mean, at the beginning and stuff, it's probably, like you said, strategizing that plan of what their end goal is, because they probably don't need to be on every platform. That's not where their target audience is. They're not on every platform.
Right.
And they need to just really, zone in and figure out exactly what it is that they have to do. So, speaking of that too, is you mentioned, automating and repurposing and stuff. What do you think, if you could just, give somebody a couple of tips, what is the best way to start with the repurposing?
So I would actually take a step back and look at your business as a whole and see, what tasks am I doing every week? What is taking up my time? How long is each one taking? Do a task audit and figure out where you're actually spending your time, because you might be surprised about how much time you're actually spending doing all of these different tasks. And then figure out, okay, this one is actually moving the needle. The other thing is you also have dev data. You have to figure out where your clients are actually coming from, what is actually moving the needle for you. And a lot of people don't know that information. They're not tagging in their email lists. They're not tracking it in their CRMs. Like they're not figuring out where their effort is best spent. So we have to do a task audit. We have to figure out the data of where your clients are actually coming from. And then you can start looking at, okay, most of my clients are coming from Instagram, so I probably don't need to be spending any time or as much time on LinkedIn. So I'm going to look for a system that I can create to just repurpose my Instagram content on LinkedIn and not spend a ton of time on it. I'll still have presence on there, but I'm not spending all of my time rewriting things in the LinkedIn style of like a thought leader. Like if that's not what your clients are, why are we wasting our time on it? So I think it's figuring out first where you're spending your time, where the value of your time should really be spent, and then figuring out, okay, LinkedIn is, for example, LinkedIn is not my primary platform. I'm going to automate that and not think about it as much.
Yeah. I love that. And that's, such a big eye opener too, because even though people, get overwhelmed and they're thinking, the content for each platform has to be different because each platform is asking for different things, but you can still repurpose from the original content to make it vibe for that particular platform, even if it's not your platform that your target audience is on.
Yeah, exactly.
So, we talked a little bit about automations as well. What are some of your favorite things to automate?
So I really find value in automating passing information between systems. And I know that there's a lot of, the all-in-one systems are very popular right now. Things like Go High Level and things, Kajabi, they have all of the bells and whistles that you could possibly want. However, what I found is they do a lot of things, but they don't do them all well. So yes. I still find value in having different systems for different purposes. So one of the biggest things that I automate is passing information between, and I was actually doing this last night, passing information between systems. So if someone registers for my email list, and then they also sign up for a free discovery session, a profit optimization kickstart session with me, I want to make sure that they are tagged in my email list so that they're not also getting any ads that I'm sending out for that session because they've already signed up for it. So I don't want to keep sending them like, hey, you should come sign up for this session. They've already done it. So I pass information between my CRM and my email list so that I'm not duplicating, all of that effort of, I have to remember that this person signed up and I have to manually go in and update them in my email list. No, that is all automated. My system can see, they scheduled this session and I'm going to automatically go in and tag them. And then when I send out emails, I exclude people with that specific tag so that they're not getting the same advertisements as people who haven't signed up yet. So that's one really good example of passing information between systems. I also like to send things that I'm doing through my CRM into my project management system. So right now I'm testing out the idea of using Notion, but I've been using ClickUp for a long time. Yeah. And I have automated sending project management information from like my CRM when I start a new client into my project management system so that it automatically sets up all of their project information. It sets up the dates, it sets up all the to-dos that we have, and it's all done in the back end. As soon as they sign their contract, send their payment, it's all done automatically. So I don't even have to think about it. So the automations that send information between systems, I think are a really great time saver for service providers.
Yeah, it sounds like it because that is a lot of stuff, that you're having completely automated because that's very time consuming to set up a brand new client and get everything going. So that's amazing. And I think though that, you talking about that probably freaks out a lot of other people, in our audience, especially. They're just like, wait, where, how, what do I, I don't even start with that. How do you, how do these systems talk to each other? How do you know what you're doing?
Google is your friend, honestly. Like I have taught learned most of the things that I have learned through Google, and Zapier is your friend. That's what I use most of the time to pass information between tools. And there's always someone who's probably asked a question before you that you can find online to say, how do I do X, Y, Z? If you know how to word your Google search, then you can find that information because someone else has already had that question and find the answer to your question somewhere.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
And it makes it so much easier. And sometimes you still have to like fight with it and figure out, okay, they did it this way, but really I want to do it this way. So how do I customize it to what I actually want? So there's still some figuring out you have to do, but just Googling is a great place to start.
Yeah. And if you need to, have somebody kind of walk you through it and stuff to YouTube, you can watch it, pause it, do, and
exactly.
have that hand holding if you need it a little bit. So, speaking of tech, I believe that people get very hung up on the tech. So what do you think that you see a lot of that is the common problems with the tech?
I think people get overwhelmed. They just see, all of the different options and they don't know what's right for them. They don't know what is the tool that's going to work best for them. And they don't always understand all the different things that these tools can do. So they don't take full advantage of them. They don't realize like, I can actually be doing this over here. And I could be, I know people that have mailing lists that don't segment them at all. And I'm thinking like, well, what, you really want to target your audiences. You want to target your messaging to the people who want to hear it the most. And so by segmenting your email lists, it really helps kind of get that message to the right people. So I think people just don't know what the options are. And then when they start digging in, they feel really overwhelmed by all the options. A lot of people feel really intimidated by technology. And I just want to say, like, it's not brain surgery. And I could say that because I had brain surgery, but it's not brain surgery, right? Like, if you make a mistake, people are usually very understanding. They know that technology is hard, and you can just say, oops, even those big names send out emails and forget to put a link in it. Like, it happens. So I think that people need to not be so nervous about it. There's rarely something truly catastrophic that you can do with your technology that's going to entirely ruin your business. So, experiment, try new things, try not to let it intimidate you so much.
And also, the fact that, especially when it comes to the automations and, systems, once you've set it up, like, that's it. You just do it one time. So it's not something that they have to do every week and redo it and, get bogged down with it, right?
Exactly. It is something you should revisit occasionally, because a lot of times they're adding new features. And if you wanted this particular piece of data to be sent and it didn't have that option before, they may have added it since the last time you looked at it. So while you don't have to be doing it every week, that's definitely true. I would definitely recommend taking a look at things, just checking up on it, making sure that it's still doing the way that you want it to do it, and see if there's any new feature that they've added to make it even better. But yes, no, don't do it every week.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah. I do it every week, but you don't have to do it every week.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have, the passion for it to, be interested in it and, love, how it works, why it works, and all of that stuff, which, a lot of people are not, especially if, that's not their business, because their passion lies in something else, which is why, you have the business that you do, because there's obviously a huge need for it.
Yes.
And, talking about, this need for the services and, that you offer and you help everybody with, I think that a lot of people don't realize that, there's somebody like you out there to help them and what that looks like. So, what do you notice that people's, pain points are that they should have come in a lot sooner and found you before? Is it like in the beginning of them setting up their business, or is it, a growth opportunity later on, or, I mean, really anywhere?
It can be anywhere. And I offer different levels of service to kind of come meet you where you're at. So I offer a 90-minute fix-it session, which is where we just sit down and I walk you through fixing a problem so that you know how to fix it the next time. Because it doesn't help you if I come in and I just fix it for you, and then next time you have the same problem, you have to call me again. I mean, it's good for my business, but it's not helpful for you. So I walk you through fixing it for yourself. We record it, and then you have that recording to reference next time you run across that problem. So if you just have like that one thing that you need to figure out, then that's something that we can work with together. I offer a package for people who are just getting started to kind of set up all of your systems in sort of a more standardized way that, if people are really just not into the tech, they do not understand it, they don't even know where to start, like, that's a really good option to hire me to come in and say, okay, here's like something to get you started. Here's a package of a suite of products to help you, get your business up and running. And then there's also the people who may have been in business for a while. They may have been kind of struggling along with like doing a lot of things through email, or they have a CRM, but they don't really know how to use it, or they don't have a project management system, but they're the kind of business that really could benefit from a project management system. Or they want to hire someone, but they don't know how to start. They don't know what they would have them do. They don't know how to help them, set them up for success. So those are all the things that I can kind of help you figure out of, okay, I've been in business for a while. I know I'm making some money, but I know I could be making more if only I was a little bit more organized, if only I had the systems to support that in the back end. So, depending on what stage you're at, I have a different approach for how we can actually get your system set up. And I would say, like, in the beginning stages, you don't need a lot of tech. Like, you don't need a lot of systems. You just sort of need to start. But if even just the minimum amount that you need is intimidating, then yes, there are people like me who can come in and help you just get off the ground and hit the ground running and get going. So yes, no matter where you're at, if you're feeling overwhelmed by the technology, you don't even know where to start, you feel like you're spinning your wheels, you feel like you're doing a lot of research, you feel like you're wearing all the hats in your business, but you don't have time to actually strategize and look at the business from a bigger picture, that's where I can come in and sort of help you take that step back and figure out where to go.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think, that really speaks to so many different people, especially because it's, pretty customized, because every business is a little bit different. What everybody wants help with or needs help with is a little bit different. And then also, like, you want to, set them up for success. So you don't want to, put systems in place that they're going to freak out about later or not use.
Yes. And actually, I have a client that I'm working with right now, Yvette, who hates technology. She's in her 50s. It has never been, she's always tracked her business. And she has a fairly big business. She has 2, part-time employees that work for her. She's working with big corporations. She does HR for corporations. And she was running her business on sticky notes and email. And I was like, I don't know how you got this big and you're running your business on sticky notes. And I have not said that to her face, obviously, but I can't even fathom it. And she knew that she needed help. She knew that she hated technology. She did not want to deal with it. She knew that she needed to set her team up for more success because a lot of her business was in her head and it was really hard for her team to read her mind and know what it was that she actually wanted. And so we've been in the process of figuring out what's the best project management system for her, what's a good CRM for her. And we have actually tested out together 4 different CRM systems. We've done the trials for them. We've set up a basic customer. We've set up a project just to kind of see how it is, to test them out, to find the right one for her. Because like you said, the right tool for someone else may not be the right tool for you. Your business is very specific to you and what you do. And so it's really important that you get a tool that not only fits your business, but that you're comfortable with. A lot of these tools are very similar, but she didn't like the feel of this one and she didn't like the design of the other one. And, that's not a knock on her. That's just how her mind works. So it was really important to me that we spent the time, and I have a 6-month program. So we have the time to try out these new tools and, set each one up and see how it works. And then decide, oh, this isn't really what I want. And, she's really excited about the current one that we're testing. We haven't totally settled on it yet, but she's really excited about the current one that we're testing to see if this is going to be the one that really works for her. So it's important to take that time to figure out that right tool for you.
Yeah, I completely agree because I love tech. I love tools and I have, started free trials of everything, poked around in them and stuff. And then, you want those all-in-one systems like you talked about, but then, some of them just have other stuff in it that you don't want, you don't need, and it almost gets overwhelming in there. So then you're like, oh, I hate it. I don't like it. Or they make it so complicated in the system that you're just like, I just cannot go in there quick and easy and do what I need to do. Mm-hmm. That can become a time sucker. So, I totally understand the people who, really have a hard time of settling on, the systems. And especially because there are so many systems these days. Gone are the days that the majority of people are using an Excel spreadsheet for their CRM and stuff, there are still, a few
There's some holdouts out there.
Your client.
Yes. Well, and that's interesting too, is with these all-in-one systems that you mentioned specifically, mm-hmm. I've actually had 2 separate profit optimization calls in the past 2 days with people who bought all-in-one systems, have been paying for them for up to years sometimes, and have not used them, or use one feature of it, but don't use the rest. And they're just so intimidated to get started with it that they don't even know where to start. So they don't even try. So, that's something that I can help you with. If you have a system that you are invested in and you really want to figure it out, I can go in and figure it out for you and then teach you. Even if it's a system that I've never heard of, I will come in because they all run the same to me. So I will come in, figure it out, and then help you figure it out so that you're not throwing money down the drain for the system that you're like, well, I'm already paying for it. I don't want to change again and then still not use it. Or I'm just not going to think about it. I'm not even going to look at it and just pretend like it's not happening. So yes, it's very common if people have signed up for these systems and then do not even use them at all.
And I'm sure you love it when somebody's like, oh, hey, check out this system that you haven't seen before. You're probably like, oh yeah. Oh, I just lost my AirPod. Yeah, but I'm sure, somebody who does love tech and everything, because, that's one of the things I love, popping in and checking out all the stuff, which is a horrible time sucker that I don't have or need or should not be using. And you mentioned Go High Level earlier, which is the one that I have just switched to. That and you were talking about these all-in-one systems, and I think for myself and a lot of other people, one of the big things that people are looking for these days is an all-in-one system that has a community in it. And I think, everybody's looking at all of these ones to compare them, but they do a terrible job on a lot of things, and none of them work the way you want them to, no matter, depending what your business is or, what you want. I mean, unless you have a coder on your team, you just are stuck with, whatever you have. And the all-in-ones are just not an all-in-one.
Yes. And I think people they want an easy solution. So I don't blame them for trying those all-in-ones. It sounds really wonderful. Like, oh, it does everything. So I don't need all these systems. It talks to itself. So I don't need to connect all these things. But as you're finding out, it's not really that simple, and it still may not be the right solution. And it may be, some people really benefit from those all-in-one systems. So I don't want to make a blanket statement and say that all-in-ones don't work for anyone, but I just want people to really understand, like, they're not the silver bullet that you think they're going to be. So really do your research before you commit to one.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just like, people in business, like, they cannot be an expert in all of the areas. These all-in-one systems cannot be an expert in all the areas, because you're hoping, like, these all-in-one systems that, are going to, have a great email marketing system. It's going to talk to your CRM, going to do all of this stuff, your websites. But then you're like, I can't do the same stuff that I could over here in this one. And that is really hard, because, like you said, we all, kind of crave that easy process, which is why we're looking for, the optimizations, the systemized, these all-in-one platforms, because nobody wants to have 10 different places to go log into to maintain.
Yeah.
But then what happens? Now you have this one system that's expensive because it's supposed to cut out all these other ones, but you find yourself not using the stuff inside that system. So you're just paying for.
You're paying for all these features you're not using because it's frustrating, or you can't customize it the way you want to customize it. Yes, exactly.
And I mean, that's just really, really hard. But I think that is a huge part of why it's so amazing to have somebody like you to help you, because you can get people outside of their heads, which is a phrase that, I love using as a business strategist, because as yourself, you can only see what you see, and you're really good at talking yourself into or out of stuff.
Yes.
But somebody else, can see the whole picture, and help you put it together.
Yeah. And one of the things my business coach says a lot is, like, your brain is trying to protect you. Like, it's showing you the things that are easy. It's showing you the things that feel safe, but your brain may not always have your best interests at heart. Your brain just wants you to be safe. And so it's seeing this all-in-one solution. It's seeing that it's supposedly easy. And so it's saying, this is the one, go for it. But it just may not be reality.
And that's just it, is we all want it to be. It just never works out that way, unfortunately. But I mean, I think, if you are able to set up the automations and stuff so that, your other systems are all talking to each other, then you're not having to go to all of those systems and do everything individually. So it's taking away that pain point for you.
Yeah. And there may be a system that does a lot of things and just not all the things, that may be a better solution than someone that does all the things. So, like, you could have a combination CRM and project management platform that doesn't do email very well, or doesn't do email, so it's still combined into one possible system. And then you still have another system that does email. So there's, it's not black and white. There's no, it's not one or the other of, totally siloed system versus all in one. It could be a combination of systems that do a couple of things and then a couple of specialized systems to go along with it. So there's just an infinite number of possibilities and ways that you could potentially set up these back-end systems in your business. And it for business owners, it can be really intimidating and like you said, like, I don't have time to sit here and try all these new systems and figure them out. But that's my job. Like, that's why,
right.
and I really enjoy it because I'm kind of a nerd. But like when these clients came to me and were like, I have these systems and I'm not using them, and I had never heard of the systems, but I was like, oh, I'm excited to go. Like you said, I'm excited to go in and learn new systems, and because I'm always looking for the better opportunity. I'm always looking for, is this the better fit for this client? Or I want to keep this in mind for future clients, or do I want to switch to this one? So I really love trying out these new tools and investigating them and seeing what features they have and what maybe they don't do so well. So that's where I come in, and where my nerd shows, where I enjoy coming into these tools and trying them all out, so you don't have to.
Oh, I love that, because I consider myself pretty tech savvy, but not, I mean, definitely not an expert, in any of those specific areas. But I love, checking them all out, spending some time in there. But when you're doing it for your business, or you finally commit to those systems, you can get sucked into it being so time consuming, setting them up. So if you become a system hopper, you're wasting so many days on setting up these systems, because I am so guilty of that, especially, doing these all-in-one systems, because now you're setting up an entire website. You're setting up landing pages, funnels, and then you're like, oh my God, I just like spent a month of my life and I don't like it. Now what?
And I don't want to use it anymore. But sunk cost fallacy, I've been using it and I've been paying for it. And so I'm going to keep it, even though I hate it.
Yep. And then it's just like a catch. You just can't get past it. You can't love it, and you're not going to use it, or you are going to be stuck with it. So it's really funny, and it's painful at the same time, though, and I can definitely feel that pain with others.
Well, and the nice thing about working with someone like me is that I can guide you to test it in a short period of time. Like, we'll set up a small test project. We'll figure out the touch and look and feel. We'll figure out, like, really quickly, is this a good fit for you? As opposed to, like you said, spending a month setting up the whole thing and then figuring out it's not a good fit. Having someone kind of guide you through the setup to test it quickly, and then moving on, if you decide you don't like it quickly, is a really, much more better use of your time than sitting there for a month and setting it all up and moving everything over before deciding, oh wait, I really actually hate this. And the other thing that I offer is I will, you can either do it yourself and I will walk you through it, or I will do it for you. Like, if you don't want to understand the back end, if you don't have any interest in kind of seeing how the sausage is made, if you just want it set up and going for you, then I will come in and set it all up for you, give you some video tutorials on how to use it. And all you have to do is sit down and use it. So, depending on how your mind works, like Yvette, for example, wants to know how it works. She wants to know how it's set up because she'll feel more comfortable using it in the future. So that's why I'm guiding her through her setup. But if you're someone who, like you said, you are already kind of tech savvy, you understand technology, you don't have the time to sit and set everything up, you just want it done for you, then that's something that I can actually come in and do, set it up for you, give you those video tutorials so you can, run with it when I'm done, and give you all that time back in your business.
And also to have somebody like you who is going to be able to provide an honest look and an overview of those products and stuff, that's not an affiliate marketer of the program, trying to sell it. Because you can go to YouTube and look at all of these systems and everything. Everybody's like, oh my God, this is the one. This is the most amazing one ever. Here's my link to go sign up. And they're not telling you the whole story. And somebody like you who's been there, done that, has experience, can kind of say like, okay, well, what are you looking for? This may not be the one for you. However, maybe this one is. Let's talk about it and not waste so much time.
Yes. And I pride myself on being tool agnostic. I want you to I want to find the tool that fits for you, not the tool that I'm most comfortable with, not the tool that I make a kickback from. I want the tool that works for how your mind works and how your business works, because everybody's different. And it's funny, I've been on Threads a lot lately, and there's been a lot of discourse around like Threads versus Notion versus ClickUp versus Trello. And, people are like, oh, this one's the best, or this one's the best. And I'm like, no, it's the best one that works for you. Like, I can't tell you which one is the best. I can give you suggestions of things we should try, but I'm not going to tell you like, this is the best system ever, and this is the only one you should ever use. So I really, intentionally am tool agnostic with my clients so that we can figure out the right one for you.
Yeah, because you can go through like the positives and the cons of everything because they're all different. They all have, great things and all bad things, which is why we can't find one that has them all great.
Exactly. We're going to keep trying, though. They keep coming out with new ones that do it all.
We're all going to keep trying, and they'll keep you in business forever,
Yep.
Speaking of, technology and the systems and everything, what do you think are the bare minimum basic systems that people should have in place in their business?
So it depends on the business, but I would say the three main ones that I would suggest are an email system, something like, I really recommend MailerLite a lot for my clients because they have a lot of features in their free plan and they don't make you pay until you have at least 1,000 subscribers. They have automations, they have tagging, they have groups, they have segments, all of that is available in the free plan. And I know I sound like, now after I said I was tool agnostic, I really like that specific tool, that email provider.
We try to keep it as simple as possible, right, for our people. And if they're more advanced, then you can recommend something that's a little more advanced.
Yeah. Well, the thing with email is it's really, that one is kind of important to start off from the beginning with the right tool, because once you start building out your automations and your segments and your lists, like, it's really cumbersome to move to a new system. So if you can pick the right tool to start with, it will make a huge difference in your life later on when you are much bigger and your list is much bigger and you want to start segmenting. I recently helped a client move from Flowdesk to MailerLite because it didn't have the segmenting that we wanted. It didn't have the tagging that we wanted. And MailerLite was free and Flowdesk wasn't. So we were able to move her over, set up a funnel, set up a landing page, all within MailerLite with their free plan. The other thing I would recommend people have is a CRM. So even if you are just getting started, you don't really have any clients yet, there are plenty of CRMs out there that will give you a free trial, or you can start with a few clients for free. And I recommend the CRM because it's really important to have a good customer experience. It's really good that your customer sees that you value them, and it's important for you to set up a system to manage your customers so that you're not losing track of them. You're not forgetting to send that proposal. You're not forgetting to follow up with this client that you were working with. And the CRM can really help you keep track of all of those things and also templatize things so that you're not creating a proposal template every time. You're not creating a new contract every time, in the Word document or a Google Doc. A CRM can help you with all of those things and make your business so much easier to run. So you're not trying to do it all in email. And then the last one I hesitate to recommend because not everyone needs it, but it's some sort of project management tool. And that could be as simple as something like Trello, which I think is the one that you said you use.
I use several because, I can't find one that I love the most. And I'm like a mother with all my children, I love them all for different reasons. So I do different things in them.
So Trello is a good free one to start with. There's also ClickUp, which I really like, Asana, Monday.com, Notion can be a really good project management tool. So everybody needs some sort of way, I think, of tracking tasks in their business to make sure that they are prioritizing the highest, value thing that they should be focusing on, but things aren't falling through the cracks. So I do recommend some sort of project management tool, but it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be anything super crazy, full featured or anything. It can really just be something as simple as a Trello board with lists and cards on there so that you don't lose track of those things that you want to spend your time on. So
yeah, and I like Trello because it can be so simple and so basic. I feel like it's easy for people to use. It might not have as much advanced and things as some of the other programs. I mean, it has definitely come a long way over the last 10 years, but I think that it's just visually easy to use.
Yes, it is. And people can really, understand it really quickly, which I really like about it. So having an email system, having a customer management system, a CRM, and then having a project management system would be kind of the three basics I would recommend. And really that can get your business pretty far. Like unless you need some sort of specialized system or you need something that's HIPAA compliant, And then I don't think that you really need much more beyond those 3 systems, depending on the business that you're running and what you're doing for your clients and things like that. But that can get you your business quite far in life.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And I think that those are really, really good, all recommendations. We've mentioned Notion a couple of times, and I think that this one has really kind of started coming to the forefront a lot. And I think that it's a really cool system, but it can be very overwhelming with a blank slate.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on Notion right now?
So I am in the process of actually switching from ClickUp to Notion in my business because for all the reasons you said, it's very customizable. I like that you can have the different views. To me, it doesn't feel as overwhelming, but I have a database mind. Like I can think in databases, and a lot of people can't. And like we were talking on Threads. I've been very active on Threads lately, where someone was saying, "Oh, I want to switch to ClickUp because Notion can't do a roll up of all of my tasks." And I was like, "Actually, actually, it can. You just have to set it up this specific way, and then you have a project. So there's a lot of upfront setup. You have to figure out kind of how the system works and then make it work for you, which can be really intimidating. I always recommend starting with some sort of template. Don't start with a blank slate because it will be really confusing and intimidating. And but it can be very customizable, and it can be, its automations leave a little bit to be desired. It doesn't do dates really well. So like things like creating a template for like creating a blog post with specific dates relative to the release date. That's not something it does really well because it can't calculate dates that way. So, you have to really figure out what it's good for and whether it's going to work for you, like anything. So for me, I'm okay with the date thing because I can just manually go in and do it myself, or I can use Zapier to calculate the dates for me. But for someone who's new to systems and doesn't really understand sort of the database setup and how it works in the background, it can be really intimidating. So start with some sort of template, and there's tons of free templates out there. Start with some sort of template so that you're not sort of flying blind with it.
Yes. And one of the things that I really love about it is that it can be as complicated as you want or as basic as you want or need. I will tell you though, you're talking about templates, which I love templates, and Notion has a bunch of templates in their system that are through them. But I did something that kind of backfired because I was like, oh, I'm going to get all these templates. And I bought templates that were very complicated. And I thought I would be able to work backwards and understand how they work and connect them all. And I confused myself because I overcomplicated it by taking something that was already very complicated and set up. So I think that it's one of those things where people just can really make it the way they want or keep it as simple too.
Yeah. And I would also say, like, unless you're using it in a very simple way, I wouldn't recommend it as your first project management tool. Like if you're just using it to track your list of tasks, then that's fine. But if you have more complex projects, if you have a lot of people involved, a lot of steps, a lot of deliverables, like I wouldn't recommend that as the first try for someone trying to figure out a project management tool. I would recommend something like Asana or ClickUp. Even ClickUp's a little bit complicated for some people. Trello maybe, but if you're doing more complex projects, then Trello probably isn't enough. So I would say for your very first like complex project management tool, Notion wouldn't be the one that I would recommend for all the reasons that you said. Like it's really hard to reverse engineer those templates if you want to customize it and you don't know kind of how it works. And so, simple task list, sure, Notion is a great start. Complex projects wouldn't be the first one that I would recommend.
Yeah. And I think that's really important too, because, when you're working with somebody, it could end up being something that is perfect for them now, helping them get their business started or up and running, or at the scale that they're at. But then later on, maybe some things need to be changed or added and, reevaluated.
Yeah. And like, even for my own business, I started in Notion just doing like personal things. Like I would track my workouts and I would track, I like to lift heavy things. So I would track how much weight I was lifting. And then I slowly started to add in my business things, and I added more complexity. And now I have a tables database, and now I have a content database, and it all relates to my tasks database, So it's something that you can build on sort of as your business grows, as you learn more. So figuring out sort of where you're at and what you actually need is really important to not getting overwhelmed with all of the options and also all of the potential customization and all the features and all of that good stuff.
All of the things that excite us, but then, bog us down at the same time. Yes.
Exactly. The shiny object syndrome is real.
For real, 100%, especially, when you're in the online space, because, the noise everywhere, and then, the marketers, of course, everybody is a fabulous marketer these days, it seems, and they sell you on everything. So you've got to have all these systems.
Yep. Well, and there's so many people online too, who say like, oh, this system is great and it's perfect and everybody should be using it. I really love it. And so everyone should use it. But that, it's hard to kind of tune out the noise. I find that a lot with Go High Level, actually, specifically, of a lot of people out there touting it. But as you've probably found out, they have a really good affiliate program. So you have to really put on your critical thinking cap of, why is this person pushing this specific tool for me? What do they, and it's cynical, but what do they have to gain by me using this tool? Is this really the right tool for me? So it's hard to shut out all that noise of other people having opinions, but it's important that you really think of your own business, your own needs, your own ways of working before choosing a tool for you. And also, the other thing I want to mention is, like, just because you pick a tool doesn't mean you're stuck with it. So if you get into the tool and you find you do a test in it and you really love it, and then you pay for it and you're using it for a while, and then you realize that, like, it's not really the right fit, or your business is growing, like you said, or like your business is shifting, like maybe you're doing less one-on-one and you're doing more group coaching, or you're doing digital products or something, and this tool that you had isn't really the tool that you need going forward, you're not stuck with it. Like, it's not a marriage. Even in marriage, you can get divorced. But, like, it's not, you're not carving anything in stone. You can always change tools. Don't feel like you are stuck with this tool just because you've been paying for it for a long time. You can always change to fit what your business actually needs. Don't feel like you're stuck with something just because you already have it, just because everything's already set up, just because you're paying for it, whatever the reason is. You can always change tools, even if it's scary, even if it seems overwhelming. It will make you much happier in the long run to be using a tool that you really enjoy using, or at least don't hate using, than to feel like you're stuck with a tool that doesn't fit how you think, it doesn't fit your business, whatever the case may be. So I just want people to realize that, like, just because you have a tool doesn't mean you're stuck with it.
Yeah, you don't have to settle forever. And if you're, overwhelmed with redoing everything again, you can hire Lauren to help you.
Exactly.
I've noticed with a lot of service providers that they really need, and they're always looking for, some sort of system for a client portal. Mm-hmm. What has been what you have seen of people looking, for that in some sort of system or platform? And, what is your recommendation for those?
So I find client portals can go either way, because some people really enjoy the client portals. They use them all the time. They access them all the time. But I actually find most clients don't use client portals. Yeah. It's kind of to make us feel better as service providers, of like, oh, we're providing a service for people, we're giving them access to things. But I find that they don't log into them. Like, they're not looking at things, they're not going in and actually getting documents. So I could go either way with client. If you're doing something like creative that requires a lot of deliverables, or requires a lot of approvals or things like that, that might be a little bit different. But I have not found a good use case for someone who actually needs a client portal so far, for like coaching and things like that. If you do need something, then something simple as like Google Drive can really work well, because you can set the permissions. It's a little bit more manual, but you can set permissions on it. You can have them comment things and make copies and edits and things like that. If you want something a little bit more robust, a lot of CRMs offer client portals. My CRM that I use is Dubsado. It has a client portal. I was trying to use it in the beginning, but like I said, I found that my clients weren't actually logging into it or using it. So I don't personally have a lot of use for client portals. The other option is to use something like a communication tool that can also have files. So I know something like Telegram, you can add files to it. I use Slack in my business. I add files to that. So like when I have a coaching session, I will just upload the link to the Google Doc for the coaching notes in Slack, so that it's all in one place. And so if they're like, oh, what did we talk about here? They can go back to those session notes that are already, all in that conversation, click on the session notes. It has a link to the recording of the session in the notes itself. It's really simple, really compact, and it's all in one place for them and easy for them to find. So I think in terms of client portals, I would really consider like, do you need one? Is your client, and what I mean by do you need one is your client actually going to use it? How much, how many features do you really need in a client portal? And then like, is there another alternative that would get you that same outcome, such as using a communication tool? I recommend staying out of email because I can get really messy, but using a communication tool or using something super simple for them to be able to access what they need.
Yeah, definitely. I guess it would really depend on what their business is and, what they're going to use. I see a lot of people, trying to use the client portals and stuff for accountability and stuff. But like you said, if people aren't going to, log in and use it, it's really hard to get people, into another system.
Yes, it is.
So I know that you have a bunch of really awesome stuff on your website. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you got going on right now? I know you have a really cool 7-day challenge coming up, or is it already running?
Yeah, so it's automated because that's how I run my business. It's automated, so you can start it at any time. So it's a 7-day email challenge, and it's all about optimizing your processes in your business. And it's free, and it helps you
go sign up.
Yes, laurenglynn.com/streamline. And it's all about figuring out what the processes are in your business. What are the most important processes in your business? How do you streamline them? How do you optimize them? And then what should you really be spending your time on in your business? So that's a 7-day. It's through email. There's a Google Doc and a Google Sheet involved. And it's really in depth on helping you figure out what it takes to run your business and what's the most important thing and how can you make it easier on yourself. So laurenglynn.com/streamline, totally free. You can go in and sign up there. I also offer a free profit optimization kickstart session. So if you're like, I just don't know about the systems in my business,
help me.
I don't even know what I'm doing, help me. We will sit down, we will make a plan, again, totally free, figure out what's going on in your business, what you can do to kind of make it a little bit better for yourself. And that's at laurenglynn.com/profit.
I feel like that should really be like 911 Lauren, because I feel like, you are, the person that needs to come and rescue so many people.
Yes. And it's funny because I find, I'm on Facebook a lot. And so I always comment that people are having technology problems. I'm like, oh, you could try this or try that. And people are like, how did you know? Like, how did you know it was so simple? How did you make it so simple? So yes, I am here. I'm in, you can't see the cape, but I'm wearing one. It's to come and help you figure all that out.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. Well, we have gotten so much incredible value today. Can you share how everybody can find you, how they can connect with you, to reach out?
Yeah, so I'm most active on, it's kind of a toss up between LinkedIn and Instagram right now. We'll talk about Instagram because it's a little bit easier to tell people about. So I'm Lauren G Consulting on Instagram. You can find me there. Like I said, you can sign up for either of those free options on my website. You can also follow me on Threads because I have been really enjoying Threads, which is the same username as Instagram. So those are all the places you can find me. And like I said, if you just need like someone to figure out this one tech thing, that is something I offer for you. Because I know there's so many people out there who are like, I'm just stuck on this one thing. And if I could just get past this one thing, it would make everything so much easier. So that's a 90-minute fix-it session. You can, reach out to me on Instagram or through my website, and we can set that up and get you rolling so you're not stuck anymore.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much because, a lot of people are probably like, oh, I don't want to sign up for monthly or 6-month or a year, coaching or systemization and stuff, where it's like, I just need to get this one thing together. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then that's amazing. I'm sure that is like most popular.
Yes, people are very excited about it.
Oh yeah, I bet. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. You are a wealth of knowledge, and I am absolutely positive that a bunch of people need you, whether they know it or not. So I hope that they all reach out to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. It was wonderful to talk to you.
Thank you so much. All right, everybody, we will see you next time.